Good afternoon, everyone. The roads here suck here, and trying something new today. I just found an article that I just wanted to share with you guys. So, new thing for me, this article reading and reacting and sharing. But do you guys want to hear a joke? Check this out. Imagine a government allowing drunk driving laws to lapse. Transportation Alternatives Executive Director Paul Steely-White said, "It would be unthinkable to intentionally make our streets more dangerous, but that is exactly what the Republican leadership in the Senate has decided to do, except the offense they've decided to legalize is even more deadly." They're talking about speed cameras lapsing. Fucking sons of bitches never driven a day in their lives, I imagine. Okay, here's the scoop. Apparently, Senate in New York has just let the speed camera laws lapse, kind of, and they haven't been, renewed. So, New York City cannot ticket you for speed cameras as of Wednesday, unless this law gets fixed or whatever the hell. But, here's the thing. That guy was just basically saying speeding is more dangerous than drunk driving. Like, drunk driving would be okay, but speeding isn't. Alright? Look, let me explain. My brief stance on speed cameras here. It's garbage and it makes money. That's all it does, okay? There's no logic behind speed cameras saving lives or anything, okay? Look, it's, when they introduced the speed cameras, they dropped the speed limit down to 25 miles per hour, okay? And the speed cameras trigger once you exceed 10 miles per hour over the speed limit. Alright? The thing is, these speed cameras are placed in positions where you are likely to speed, like to get through a yellow light, or just because there's known speeders in the area or something like that. Okay? Now, these speed cameras are actually school zone speed cameras, okay? They are only in effect, I believe, number out of my head, like 5 hours before school starts, 5 hours after any school activities end, Mondays through Fridays. So whenever school is not in session, they are turned off, okay? And they can only be placed something like within a mile radius of a school. But there's so many schools in New York City, they can place these cameras anywhere. And there's always some sort of after-school activities or some staff things going on in school. So these cameras are almost always on. So they're just speed cameras at this point, okay? Under the guise of being school zone speed cameras. The ticket price is $50. And like I said, they place them in strategic areas. And all this does is it creates traffic and congestion. It creates a more dangerous road scenario because all these drivers that are being slowed down are now angry and they're sitting in traffic and they want to weave around and get out of there and crap. New York City, on top of that, has been doing things where they've been taking like 2 or 3 lane roads and congesting them down into one. Most recent example being, I believe, like 11th Street or McGinnis Boulevard. When you come off the Pulaski Bridge, that used to be a 2-lane road, now it's 1 lane. Many roads like that. They do it to intentionally congest the streets. On top of that, they build these roads dirt cheap so that potholes show up every couple of months. People are guaranteed to drive slow. They're intentionally causing traffic and congestion, which intentionally irritates and aggravates drivers, which intentionally gets them fined. Okay? Listen, if they didn't want they're also going after Uber and Lyft, by the way. This is a tangent. They're going after Uber and Lyft because of traffic and saturation of drivers in the market, and they want to charge a congestion toll or tax or something, like how they have in England, apparently. Congestion would not be an issue if they weren't such idiots about it. If they didn't have speed cameras, if they left the speed limit where it was, if they educated pedestrians and enforced jaywalking rules. Like, listen, I don't have a problem if somebody looks both ways and crosses the street. But when somebody blatantly walks out in front of cars and cars have to slam brakes and all that stuff, they should be ticketed for jaywalking. I'm sorry. Okay, and cyclists too. Like, there are some good cyclists and there are also some bad cyclists, right? There needs to be better enforcement of pedestrian and cyclist laws as well as motor vehicle laws, don't get me wrong. But speed limit needs to be put back where it was. Speed cameras need to be gotten rid of. The roads need to be properly maintained. And the lanes need to be, restored, put back the way it was. 'Cause the congestion never used to be this bad. It's not a sudden influx of drivers or anything like that. It's just the fact that the city has been making these roads narrower and narrower, lowering the speed limits, putting these roads in severe disrepair, and also slapping speed cameras everywhere. Anyways, let me just read you this article, all right? It's from the New York Daily News. The title is NYC Speed Camera Enforcement Halted by State Senate Inaction. Authors by Jillian Jorgensen, Dan Rivoli, and Emily Russell. New York Daily News, July 25th, 2018, 12:45 p.m. The streets of New York City are about to become a good deal more dangerous. The city's speed camera program was suspended on Wednesday because the state senate failed to pass legislation extending the program despite calls by advocates and elected officials, including Mayor de Blasio, which is a joke, de Blasio's a joke, and Gov Cuomo. Less of a joke, but not a popular guy. Imagine a government allowing drunk driving laws to lapse. Transportation Alternatives Executive, blah, blah, blah. It would be unthinkable to intentionally make our streets more dangerous, but that is exactly what the Republican leadership in the Senate has decided to do, except the offense they've decided to legalize is even more deadly. Wow, people are driving 35, 36 miles per hour instead of 25 when people drive 30, 35 anyway. The cameras did not technically go dark. The city will keep them on to monitor data about the speeds of vehicles, a City Hall spokesman said. What the city will not be able to do is issue $50 tickets to those caught speeding. Here's the thing. One, those cameras put up many false positives. Two, when they implemented the program, it made millions of dollars. They don't give a crap about speed. They don't give a crap about safety. They want money. That's all it is. As a matter of fact, if you've ever gotten one, you will know if you've gotten one. You have to prove your innocence, okay? They want you to pay unless you can prove that you're innocent. It's not innocent until proven guilty. No. I don't know. So, that's all it is. But, well, apparently defensive speeding is a superb defense, as we've learned in the previous video of mine, but let's see. Unfortunately, maybe we'll get the chance to see, with the cameras turned off, what happens to that speeding, DOT Commissioner Polly Trottenberg said Wednesday. Hint, it's not going to change. People see a speed camera, they slam on the brakes, everybody else has to slam on the brakes. They pass the camera, they continue on. But yeah, they're a lot like speed bumps. If you've ever seen speed bumps in the city, people will drive up to the speed bump, they'll slow down, they'll go over the speed bump, and it'll continue on like nothing ever happened. Same thing with the speed cameras. Most people cap their speed at 30, 35 miles per hour, but some people they just do whatever they want anyway. And if anything, the speed cameras make it so that the NYPD doesn't enforce speed, because why would they? They're speed cameras now. Big problem. NYPD moves around, speed cameras don't. It's revenue for the city. Let's see now. Unfortunately, maybe we'll get the chance now to see, with the cameras turned off, what happens to that speeding, DOT Commissioner Polly Trottenberg said Wednesday. The city has argued that the cameras are a clear success, for them perhaps, pointing to data showing that they reduce speeding by more than 60%. I mean, if you're going by speed cameras only and people know where the speed cameras are, they're not going to speed by the cameras anymore. Obviously, speeding is going to drop almost 100%. Idiots. Trottenberg said speeding has declined 60%. The number of struck pedestrians dropped by 17%. Traffic, you remember. And fatal crashes dropped by 55%. Traffic. In areas where speed cameras were in use. Traffic. You ain't gonna kill yourself driving 2 miles an hour. De Blasio had hoped to end the legislative session with a law to expand the use of cameras, seeking to nearly double the number of locations in which they could be used. Profit. But after Wednesday, the city will be left with just 20 mobile speed cameras that are covered under a separate law and can be used around schools through August. We'll be using mobile cameras. We'll take them around the city and we'll try to hit the spots. But then, by the end of the summer, everything is completely shut off. Of course they'll hit the spots. They know which spots to hit. Can you imagine? Which spots are the most lucrative? Trottenberg said. A DOT mobile unit employee named D, who declined to give her last name, expressed her displeasure. I got grandkids. How are you telling me you're doing something for the safety of children? that you're going to take it away? She asked. Hey, listen, maybe educate them. Tell them to look both ways before crossing the street instead of just running across. Like, the logic just eludes some of these people. It's nuts. If you can't trust your child to walk, like to let them walk in the streets, why are you even letting them walk in the streets then? What about if you take this camera off, God forbid, and something bad happened to that child? What are you going to tell people? I'm sorry, if only I knew. Again, at an unrelated press conference in his Manhattan offices, Governor Cuomo said Republicans in the Senate were endangering children's lives. Evil Republicans endangering children's lives. Oh my God. Always the Republicans. Something doesn't work out, Republicans. They didn't get enough money, Republicans. Safety, Republicans, blah, 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 blah. You are putting lives in jeopardy. It's that simple, he said. You will see speeding and recklessness increase, and you will put lives in jeopardy. Honestly, if you're being reckless, the NYPD will pull you over anyway. Bills to extend the program had passed the Democratic-controlled state assembly, but died in the GOP-led Senate. Republicans stalled their passage on behalf of Senator Simcha Felder, who has sought to tie the issue to requiring armed guards at city schools, a non-starter for Democrats. Felder, a Brooklyn Democrat, caucuses with the GOP and has provided them with the needed 30-second vote for the Senate majority. They don't want to admit that they're against it, Cuomo said of the Republicans. You don't need a special session. You don't need a lightning bolt from heaven. Advocates have also turned their ire on Senator Martin Golden, a Brooklyn Republican who has been caught by cameras speeding in school zones and has long refused to back the speed cameras in the past. Like I said, these school zone cameras are on all the time, so you're automatically a bad guy if at like 8 p.m. one of them gets you. Remember, you go 36 miles per hour to weave around someone, boom, ticket. Prove you're innocent. If you don't have a dash cam, shit out of luck. Where was I? Golden now supports them and has urged Cuomo to call the legislature back into special session so the bill can be passed. Governor Cuomo owes it to all of us to call the legislature back, have us pass the bill, and sign it into law before someone is hurt, or God forbid, killed, Golden said Wednesday. What? Cuomo has argued Golden should call on his own party to return on their own and pass the bill, as it is already been done in the Assembly. This like me saying, I call on Governor Cuomo to sign the bill as soon as it's passed, Cuomo said. Asked whether he could take action himself, possibly through an executive order, Cuomo said his staff was looking at that. If there's any possible way I could make a difference, I would, he said. People always scream at me, oh, they're trying to take money out of my pocket. No, what I want to do is slow down. What I want you to do is slow down. Again, agitation, reckless driving, traffic, people late everywhere, air pollution, congestion, a potential congestion tax. With the hours ticking down to the 5:30 p.m. deadline, local elected officials joined Cuomo and de Blasio in ripping the Senate for allowing the legislation to expire. I am sick to my stomach that Republicans in the state Senate are really about to let life-saving speed cameras shut down because of politics, said City Council Speaker Corey Johnson. This should be a no-brainer. We're talking about the safety of children. Again, I don't know what children are walking in the middle, like, as you enter the Manhattan Bridge. These speed cameras are honestly arbitrary nonsense. They're just mad that they're not getting their revenue anymore and that they actually have to honestly look for some other way to build money, revenue. City Controller Scott Stringer called the behavior of the Senate GOP abhorrent. Every second they waste rather than reconvening and reauthorizing the program puts our at risk, Stringer said. We know these speed cameras save children's lives. There is no question about that. The only question for Senate Republicans now is this. Have your morals expired too? Big, huge fucking joke, I think. I'm very glad that they fucking let the speed cameras lapse. Very good. And I hope it stays that way. Was I too harsh in my assessment? Let me know in the comments if you agree, if you disagree. Like I said, I'm all for open thought. But honestly, living here, experiencing these speed cameras and all that stuff, I'm telling you, these governors and senators and mayors are all fucking nuts. They know nothing. They've probably never even driven a day in their lives. They have no idea what they're doing. I mean, they do have an idea what they're doing. They're collecting money, and they're doing a hell of a good job at that, and that's why they're upset. That's my point of view. So, thank you all for watching. New kind of video for me. So, I hope you enjoyed it. Take care, be good, be safe. See you around.